Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome to our Fall 2026 Move-In Day webinar. We are super excited to have you all join us tonight, and we are also so excited to welcome you all to campus coming up in just about 2 short months from now. Before we get started and I hand things over to our pro here, Jamie Green, I would love to go over a couple housekeeping things with you guys. First and foremost, if you're having any issues logging in or hearing, the instructions on the screen can run through some of those technical issues for you. You can always call in if the audio isn't working. There is that access code as well. So it's a good thing to keep note of just in case you get disconnected at a later point. We will also be utilizing something called Slido during this presentation. And so Slido is a great way for you to chat with all of the admissions counseling staff that we have here on hand throughout the presentation. So if you have any burning questions, please let us know. We're all excited to help you out. Now, how you get into Slido. At the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a little button that says Apps. Click on that. Click on the Slido button there. It's a green circle with an S in the middle of it. And then opening that will give you access to our ongoing Q&A as well as some other questions that might come up during the presentation. Without further ado, I am going to hand it over to the woman of the hour. This is Jamie Green, and she is one of our Associate Directors of University Student Housing.
Right. Hello. So as Anna said, my name is Jamie Green. I'm the Associate Director of Administrative Operations in University Student Housing. I've been at MSU for about 19 years this summer, and I've kind of served in several roles in university student housing, starting in like a customer service, like when you call the office, the person that answers the phone, to the person that did all the residence hall assignments, and then kind of into this role where I oversee basically the business operations of housing. And so I'm excited to share with you some information. I've been through about 18 move-ins in my time here. And it's always a great time. So one of the things I kind of want to say ahead of time, I may or may not follow the bullet points exactly as they're laid out, but I'll cover everything that's important and I'll kind of talk through some extra stuff. And there's a couple of points where I'll break away from the presentation itself and actually show you the housing portal form that I'm talking about, and kind of walk you through what that will look like. All right. All right, so move-in weekends. It's technically a Sunday and a Monday, so we kind of readjust what a weekend is when we move in. We do have a lot of students moving in on Saturday as well. That's when the students that are coming for our 4th orientation session move in, and a lot of our early arrivals and early arrival programs arrive that day as well. It's just not as cool, I would say, as the rest of the weekend because of all the extra stuff that we provide during the move-in process. One of the things to kind of note for Sunday and Monday during peak hours, we ask for students to sign up for specific check-in times. And that's really to kind of keep the flow moving through campus. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that as well. But basically, you need to have an assignment before you can do your check-in time. Schedule your check-in time. If you don't have your assignment, you have to wait on it, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. That's okay. If you're like, my flight lands on Sunday and I got to get moved in also on Sunday, we'll work with you. And so just let us know that those needs as they come up. You know, when you get your assignment, and you're not able to get where you need to be, just let us know and we'll work with you. Yes. Basically, if you need to arrive before that Sunday, we ask for students to do an early arrival form. And we just sent out a bunch of notifications about approvals for early arrivals. So I know a lot of people have already done this. But for reference, it is a form in our housing portal. I'm going to log in here really fast. In forms, in residence hall forms. And then I see a lot more because I'm an administrative user, but there's going to be this early arrival request form. This is a little button here. You're going to continue with this application. And basically, it asks you what the date that you're requesting to move in and the reason for the request. So if you're here with an early arrival program like Orientation 4, that's the reason you'll put in there for moving in, let's say on the 22nd of August. If it's for another reason, what we ask for you is to really be specific about this request and letting us know exactly why it's required or needed for you to move in earlier than that Sunday that we open up for move-in weekend. We're at a point where we are reviewing these pretty regularly, so you shouldn't have to wait for an answer for very long at this point, but that's how you get that form. Okay, so we're going back to the presentation. More on move-in weekends. So peak times when I talk about it is for move-in on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Monday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so the goal with our move-in times is to space out arrival for easier time to check in, better traffic flow around campus and parking and the unloading zones, and also to ensure that we have enough volunteers to help out. We have people from the community that come and actually help you unload vehicles and help bring carts of stuff up to the residence halls. So that's like a real big advantage for using the move-in weekend times during those peak times. The times start at the top of every hour, and then we ask for students to complete their move-in within about 2 hours. That does not mean that you're not allowed to use the elevators, not allowed to come and go after that 2 hours. It's really like the bulk of your move-in happens within that 2 hours. You shouldn't be bringing in large boxes of stuff or a refrigerator or mini fridge or something after that time, unless it's outside of the peak hours. Family members are welcome to stay as long as they like to help get settled in. And basically, because of this flow, we just really ask that students kind of keep to that time that they picked to get checked in. I know sometimes you get to campus and it's really exciting and you want to, you're like here an hour early and you want to check in a little early. And it's so tempting, but we just ask you to, just for that flow of traffic, to kind of stick with the time that you pick. Okay, so in terms of like where to check in, the basic flow for moving in when you arrive, we have some directions and maps on our website that will kind of direct you from the interstate to campus to wherever residence hall you're going. And then there's some unloading zones out front, and there's volunteers that'll help you kind of get unloaded and settled. You do your check-in at the front desk of the hall that the student is living in. With a couple of exceptions, if your student is in the quads, the Hannon front desk is who services that. And then for sophomore and above students that are coming in during that time, Julia Martin, there's a welcome tent out by the apartments, and Headwaters check-in at the North Hedges desk. Basically, you drop off personal belongings along the curb, and then you move a car to the parking lot. So they're looking at about 15 to 20 minutes maximum to be parked along the curbs. If it takes longer, that's okay. We don't want you to be like rushing around, but we also don't want you to like park and like hang out and chat and spend some time, 30 minutes sitting by the car. So somewhere in between, that's kind of what we're looking for. And then basically you start moving your stuff into the residence halls. In terms of what to bring for check-in, for a better experience, it will be important to complete our pre-arrival forms, which are our housing contract and our community standards. And it's basically agreeing to the contract and reading and understanding what it means to be a student in the residence halls in terms of like how you conduct yourself, what it means to be a neighbor, any of the conduct stuff that might happen. If they aren't completed by the time that you come to move in, the staff is going to make you complete it before they'll hand you your keys. And then you're here excited to get moved in. We're going to be like, now you got to go read some paper. It's really best to go ahead and just do that long before. We'll start sending out emails when that is ready here in a couple of weeks. And we will remind you a ton of times to complete it if it's not done. I would say it's really important also to read these documents. And so if you're trying to do that sitting beside the car at the front desk to get your stuff moved in, that's not going to be really, you're not going to have a good enough time to really understand what you're signing. So take the time beforehand, at least the day before you arrive, to read through those, understand what you're signing, and then get those completed before you come in. We ask for a picture ID to make sure that we're giving the right person a key to the room. One of the things, a CAT card is a form of ID that we accept on campus. You likely don't have your CAT card yet because we're holding it. So you also will get your CAT card when you check in, and you need a government issued ID to get checked in. What we will say is that for a better experience, again, all around, make sure that your picture is uploaded through the Get mobile app before you get here so that we can print your card off and have it ready for you at the front desk. You're welcome, if you don't want to do that, you're welcome to come to the housing office during that weekend and come and sit in a line and get a picture taken and interact with staff. We'd love to see you. But if you don't want to wait in a line, for sure upload your picture and get that card printed ahead of time. The other thing to kind of remember is the parking dashboard credential, and then patience and a smile. And hopefully you were also met with patience and a smile from our staff because we're excited to see you. All right, so items to bring to the room. I'm not going to read out this whole list because that's crazy. But for the, we'll also have this list on our website and our moving in page. So just a couple of things I will highlight though. A big one to remember is a fan of some sort. It could be a box fan or a tower fan. And it's really mostly important at the beginning of the fall semester and at the end of the spring semester because our buildings don't have air conditioning and it's pretty warm. And that fan's going to be a lifesaver. I can speak from experience because right now I'm presenting to you from my North Hedges office room where I'm like literally in a residence hall room as an office this summer. And it's gotten pretty warm in here and that fan's been good. So that's an important thing I want to highlight. And then you really want to think about items that will make a room feel like home. So like things like pictures or decorations, if you're a plant person, like maybe small plants. A bare residence hall room can feel really sad and lonely. And it doesn't look pretty. So we for sure bring some stuff to kind of personalize it, make it feel like home. And that's actually really, really important for students as they learn to transition to a new space. And it's also a really fun activity to do with a roommate. So figure out how you want to have things decorated. What kind of things do you want to bring? Do we need, how much storage, much storage do we need? Are we going to rent a micro fridge? Are we just going to bring one ourselves? You can only have one mini fridge per room. So there'll be a conversation too, as well as like, how do you handle sharing items inside that mini fridge as well? So this is like not comprehensive, but stuff that staff has found pretty helpful over the years to suggest. Okay, in terms of what not to bring, one of the things, full transparency, our residence halls are they're not large. They're a residence hall room. Movies and TV I've noticed this over my years, movies and TV make like the residence hall experience look like it's this giant room. And I've rarely seen a giant room. So it's not very big. There's very limited storage. But I will say the students are very, very good about making sense of their space and finding where things can be stored. We don't provide any storage for students. And so everything that's in the room needs to still be in the room when they come to check out. So things that are provided, the simple stuff, a bed frame, the mattress, the desk chair, trash can. Most of our beds are loftable, which means that it can rise and lower. So we'll have students that will kind of rearrange their rooms in a way that they loft their beds up and store some stuff underneath. There's people that don't want to have their bed lofted up because they don't want to be, in the sky. And that's okay too. You can just figure out how you want to store things. You can do like under the bed storage items and stuff like that. So that's actually really helpful. Prohibitive items. I think the easiest way to consider what is prohibited is one, the power draw. So things like air conditioners and space heaters and large appliances have a large power draw, and it will trip the breaker, and not just for you, but also for your neighbors. So you don't want to be that person that like takes everybody's power away until somebody comes and fix it. That's not what you want to do. So we want to be sure that we're being cautious about how much power draw is coming from the rooms. You can have things like, like your computer's plugged in, TV, lights, that kind of stuff won't trip the breaker. It's those large items that will. And then the other thing to really think about is like, is it going to cause damage if I have it? So like a dartboard, if you're throwing darts at the wall, you're probably going to damage the wall, and then you're going to end up having to pay for it. You don't want to do that. And is it a fire hazard? Things like the air fryers and toasters and candles, incense, like if there's a possibility that the thing could start a fire by neglect or just something falling on it, it's not allowed in the residence halls. Okay. I do have a couple of links on here, but you can see floor plans and room dimensions on the residence hall pages that are specific on our website. And then our community standards aren't updated yet. They're really close to being updated, but they will be found also on our webpage. So anybody can look to see what our contract and our community standards are. We're not like holding it a secret to only the students and possibly some parents that have to sign it. It will be out there before we actually launched our contracting stuff in July. In terms of shipping personal belongings, my favorite thing to tell people is that Montana is not really the Wild West. Bozeman actually has like retail stores, there's delivery services, we have major chains, small local stores. And I think, shopping is a really great way to get to know the area and kind of, start being part of the community. That being said, you can ship items if you want to, but we're just asking that it doesn't happen before August 17th. So, and the big reason for that is that our residence hall front desks are also our mail rooms, and we have very limited storage for packages. And especially the larger the package gets, the harder it is for us to hold on to it for very long. And so we really ask for some hold pattern in terms of like getting things shipped over to us. Now, also that being said, if you ship it and accidentally shows up on the 16th, we're not going to refuse it. We're just asking for the intention to be not before August 17th. Our mailing addresses, if you don't know where those are at, are also listed on the residence hall pages. And another kind of question that will pop up every once in a while in terms of mailing addresses is sometimes parents don't remember the exact room number that their students are staying in, and that's okay. You can actually leave the room number out when you're addressing a package, as long as the building is correct. So like, for example, in North Hedges, it'd be the student's name, 200 North Hedges Hall, and then Bozeman, Montana, 59715, and then whatever the 4-digit code is that we have on North Hedges. It'll still get to North Hedges, and then our staff will just look up to see where they're at and make sure it gets to the right mailbox or that they get a parcel notification. So don't stress about that when you're kind of navigating the mailing address world. Okay, so I recognize that there's people out there that are still waiting for a room assignment. Right now, we're about at early March for our female applicants and about mid to late-ish March with our male applicants. And basically at this point, we're not holding on to them anymore. So every day as we're getting assignments made, they're getting sent out daily. So there's no big wait period anymore. We're also at a kind of a point where we're kind of working on one-to-one off spaces. So sometimes it's like a cancellation that we need. We're immediately filling it with a student. And people are starting to finalize their plans right now for the fall, and that's kind of where we're at. We also have one assignment coordinator right now, and while she's a rock star, she manages new assignments. She helps with room changes, roommate swaps. If there's any special concern with like roommate pairing, she's kind of doing most of all of that. And then we're filling the spaces as we can. So it just takes a little bit of extra time to make sure she's doing it correctly. We're also past the point where our computer program does all of the roommate matching for us, and she's actually going in and making sure that roommate matches make sense. So bear with us if you're still waiting. You're welcome to always check in with us to see where we're at. We're happy to share where we're at, and like potentially, depending on how late the application date is, maybe give you an idea of when you would hear from us. But you can call us every day. I'm sure some of our customer service staff would they'd probably love it if you're really nice to them, to hear from you every day to see where it's at, but probably not. That's probably not the best use of your time. But you can call or check in as often as you want if you're worried about it. We're happy to do that. And we like talking to y'all, so that's also okay. I kind of talked about room changes and roommate changes. And so those requests are live right now. We have a room change request form that's in the housing portal. And I'm not going to actually show you, I'm not going to show you what that one looks like because that's far too many clicks for me to show you everything. But it's basically like a copy of our housing application, but much smaller. It just asks for hall preferences. It asks for if there's a specific roommate request, and then the reason for making the request. Because sometimes the reason's really important. And we want to be sure that we're paying proper attention to those requests as they're coming in. So that form will be live until July 31st. And then after July 31st, we kind of turn our focus into getting late applicants placed, ensuring early arrivals ready to go so people have bookings and communication about where to go. And then we prepare for our students. We get the buildings ready, our staff's here getting ready to train. So we kind of flip into fall mode the minute we go into August 1st. So yeah, basically after we open, so after that move-in weekend, we make sure that all of our staff has seen every student that's supposed to be here. And we kind of do a little census count. And then on the first day of classes, which is August 26th, the request form opens up. And then the room changers are handled by our residence hall program coordinators. And they're the professional staff members that work at your front desks. Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And they're really happy to help folks, like if there's like a roommate switch that needs to happen, or like you're really unhappy in your spot and you want to talk to somebody, you really had your heart set on a building on the other side of campus. They're happy to kind of work with you on that if we weren't able to help you during the summer. In terms of meal plan changes, those process automatically when they're done in the housing portal. The kind of note to make with this, we only have 2 meal plans. So one's a 7-day access, Sunday through Sunday, so every day of the week. And then one's a 5-day access, which is Monday through Friday. So the 5-day plan, so the room plus the 5-day, is slightly cheaper. But my little pro tip with this, you can always upgrade. You can only downgrade for 2 weeks at the beginning of the semester. But I think especially for students first coming in and having an experience, the cost difference between these 2 meal plans is not that great. It's really worth it to kind of feel out the fall semester to see like, how are you interacting with the dining halls? You might think at the first 2 weeks, like, I'm never going there. I have all these other things in Bozeman to go eat at. And then that costs extra money. And you're like, I got to get another job, trying to go to class, whatever happens. So it's really best to start with that 7-day plan, find out what your groove is. And then if you're like, I didn't use that meal plan hardly at all over the weekend, when we go into the spring semester, downgrade that to the 5-day meal plan. That's really my pro tip for meal plans. Do what you want to do, but that's just kind of my pro tip. Okay. Our room and board rates, they are posted currently on the website, and they are per semester. So the note with that is that it's an all-inclusive rate. So it's your room, the utilities, internet. Laundry is part of room and board, so you don't have to pay for laundry in our residence halls. Your meals, and then housing during fall and spring breaks. This is kind of I always hesitate about talking about this during this webinar, but I also think it's really important if there's people listening to this that maybe, live in the local commuting area, where, students are excited to come to campus. We're excited to have them on campus. But as they're kind of settling in, maybe they're spending more time at home, and then you're like, well, why don't you just move home? So there's like there's kind of this time period that I want to be sure that folks really understand with our contract, and it's also our refund schedule. So there's a point in the semester where we stop refunding semester room and board, and so that is also in that housing contract. It is also posted on the website, so kind of keep an eye on that. If you have a student that's in the area and you're noticing like that first week they're at home a lot, start having a really intentional conversation about what that will look like. You're welcome out of your contract to go live at home. We ask for just some paperwork, but again, just like have some conversations as a family about that. And again, just really kind of keep that in mind. We do have a cancellation fee, which is also in that contract. Again, like really important to read it. And then we actually just set the date that we're running fees. So it'll be late July. You'll see housing fees in with the tuition bill. Okay. Parking passes. You guys, you know what? I just realized I didn't show you the move-in times. It is like after 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. I'm gonna show you move-in times really fast because that was actually really important for me to show you. Hopefully I'm still collecting. Am I still? No, I'm not. Let me get logged in again really fast. Sorry. I will yap about parking passes while I'm getting logged in. So parking passes, I talk about it because it's important, but it is managed by Parking Services. I know it's really tempting to try to talk to housing about parking, but we're two separate folks. We're happy to get you connected. Those parking passes go on sale on August 3rd. And basically, students that live on campus are eligible for these specific lots. And there is limited parking available in those lots. So I think where my part in talking about this is to really kind of, as a family, as you're figuring out what's coming to Bozeman to come to school, talk about, whether or not a car is a thing that is needed. I wish I had control over the availability of parking. I don't. But sometimes we'll find that students will bring a car here and they live on campus and then they never use it. They'll use like the Streamline bus service to get around. They'll have friends that have a car. They find it better to walk downtown for whatever reason. We've got like food and coffee and stuff just across the street from campus. There's a grocery store on campus. So there's lots of reasons that you wouldn't need a parking pass. So I think, again, that's like a really, really good conversation to have as a family as you're kind of getting ready for the fall. Okay. Move-in times. So move-in times are located in this forms, like the other thing was. And it's this little guy here at the top. This is a little disclaimer that kind of lets you know kind of already what I've talked about. I think maybe what I had missed also with this is that if you're not arriving in these peak times, I know I talked about the peak times, so if you're not arriving in the peak times, you don't need a move-in time. So if you're moving in after 8 o'clock on Sunday, you can just come to the residence hall and move in. If you're moving in after 5 o'clock on Monday, you can just come to the residence hall and move in. If you're moving in early, we'll send you some information, but you're also just going to go to your residence hall and move in when you get to campus. So it kind of explains a little bit more of that. Okay. So it's basically an appointment scheduler. And it's only going to show you the time slots that are either available. So if 8 a.m. on Sunday runs out of time slots, it won't show anymore. So it means it's not available. And it will only show again if you have a booking for the fall. So if you navigate to this page without a booking and you open up the scheduler, none of these will populate with a time. So I'm going to say I want to do this time. It's going to book it for me real fast. And it's going to say booking confirmed. This button will actually let you, like, it'll bring up a add to calendar function if you want to do it. You can also, it's right here as well. The other thing too with the move-in times. So let's say you signed up for a move-in time and then plans changed, you're not arriving during the peak times, or you joined an early arrival program and you no longer need it, you can go in here and cancel it yourself with this button. Or if you find that, like, oh, I'm actually not coming on Sunday, I'm coming on Monday, you can just go ahead and hit this reschedule button. And then it brings up the same exact scheduler and you just pick a new time. And then it's scheduled. And again, you can add it to your calendar as you needed. So that was showing you the move-in times. I'm sorry, that was disjointed. That didn't go anywhere in line with this presentation, but I wanted you guys to see it. So my other reminder, again, I said this before, but if something shows up there and you're not able to get in where you actually need to, just reach out to us. You'll likely actually hear from me as a response to just let you know whether we got you where you needed to go or if we had to go to like the next best option. So we'll work with you. Okay, back here. Another really important part of Move In is MSU Debut. I think this is really fun. They don't have all of their events listed out yet, so I listed their website. But basically, it's focused on connecting students to the campus and Bobcat community, and also with each other. It's a great time to meet each other. And there's basically something for everyone. There's a lot of programming. So it could be floor dinners, it could be a food truck rodeo. They do a lot of like our traditional activities happen during MSU Debut. It's a really great time, again, just to go out and get used to the campus community and meet some new people. Even if you're like kind of a quiet introvert, I would say really push yourself to go to some of these things. I was a quiet introvert, and this sounds terrifying, but it's really important to go. So again, as they have more information, I'm sure you'll probably get some other information, but it's also will update on their website as they have stuff finalized. Okay. And then kind of to wrap things up, I have some, just from my years of experience, some frequently asked questions that come up. I did talk about some of these already, but just to reiterate, when will students receive their assignments? So again, we're at early March for female applicants, about mid to late March for our male applicants. We do see a drop off in like the total number of applications we have to assign as we move later into the summer, but this is kind of a pretty large chunk of applications that came in as students were making decisions leading into May 1st. So it's kind of, this is our bottleneck. And once we get through the bottleneck, we'll be pretty okay. When do meal plans start? So our dining halls open for breakfast on Sunday, August 23rd. The dining halls will be open during move-in weekend, but the meal plans won't be, well, okay, hold. They'll also be open on Saturday, but the meal plan's not effective until Sunday morning. So you can go purchase a meal if you want to when you're on campus, but Sunday morning is the first meal that's covered by the meal plan. And you do have to be on a 7-day meal plan to eat on Sunday in the dining hall. Parents and families can join students to eat in the dining hall. They just need to pay to get in. Storage options and summer storage. So I talked about it. Each room has limited storage options. Some of them have a little bit more than others. Like I'll tell you, like Hannan Hall's got a plethora of little cubbies to store things in. And buildings like what I'm in now, North Hedges, just has a little closet in there and a few little drawers. So kind of gauge, you might need to go get some more storage items while you're in town. And yeah, but we just don't provide it on campus. We don't have room for that. And again, we have students that get really creative about where they place things. How can I rent a ski locker or secure bike storage? So ski lockers are very limited. They're only available to rent in Hafner, Langford, Yellowstone, and Highlight. And you do have to be a student that is assigned to those rooms to be able to rent one of those. And then our covered secured bike storage is available on Highlight and Yellowstone. And it's basically CAT card access bike storage that's kind of out of the elements. We've got a lot more bike storage available than we do ski lockers. So one of the things that is kind of important and people are really curious about, I know, is that when can you rent these? So July 8th, students that are in those halls will receive an email that outlines the process of like how you can request that. And it's basically you add yourself to a wait list. And that is a thing I'm going to show you. I shouldn't have been logged out yet. I will show you what that looks like as well. You can't do it yet because it's not July 8th. But it basically adds students to a wait list for that option. And then after we get through our collection period for people that would like to purchase one, we run it through a lottery, and then the people that are, the top, I think there's like, I'm going to use Yellowstone, for example. I think there's 25 of them in Yellowstone. So the top 25 people will get an offer to purchase. And then we'll kind of work through the wait list as people purchase or don't purchase those ski lockers. I will show you that wait list really fast. Also in Forms. Forms is going to be your best friend. So keep an eye on that. It's the ski locker bike storage rental wait lists. We're going to continue to the wait list. It's going to make sure you actually have an application for the time that you were here. And this is kind of a nice step. So this waitlist search is how you get yourself added to the waitlist, and waitlist status will show you which ones you're added to. So we're going to go to this waitlist search, and I'm going to say I'm in Highlight and I'd like to rent a ski locker. So I'm going to select that waitlist. I can't make this comments thing go away. You don't have to put anything in there. You can if you want to. You don't have to. But then you're going to hit save and continue. And then you will see that it is added on here. So then when you come back to that form, let me continue, and we're into that status. It'll show that that's what you're on. And if you choose to remove yourself from that wait list, you can certainly delete yourself. And then basically, if you want to be on the wait list for both the ski lockers and the bike storage, you just add the bike storage in the next step, and then it would add it to this particular screen. Okay. The cost is $60 for the academic year. And the other thing of note as well is that it's non-refundable once purchased. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Okay, what happens over winter break, and can I stay in my room? The answer is you can stay in your room for sure, but there's a nightly rate that's attached to it because it's not covered in room and board. The last couple of years, it's been $25 a night, and it's lower like that because nothing's really available. Campus is pretty closed during that time. You can stay in your assigned room. We ask for no guests because most of our staff is home and not here. We have a very limited amount of staff members on campus to ensure people are safe. And our dining halls are closed. So we do have kitchens available in every one of our residence halls for students to use to, if they go buy some food and want to cook during that time that they're here, but that is a thing that's available. And that is why it's a little bit cheaper nightly that we charge. So are there transportation options for students? We don't have anything designated. least right now, I'm sure. So we recommend like Uber or another rideshare app. And then in terms of on campus, we have front desk services available on campus 24/7. We used to be, all of our residence halls were open with a front desk for 24/7. We've cut that down to it's one desk per side. But it is easy. We have posted stuff for people to like contact that desk or how to get in contact with staff should that desk be closed. So we are staffed and available during that time. And I think we actually have everybody open until we hit first day of classes. And if I'm wrong about that, I'm very sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Okay, what would you recommend students stay for a couple days before they can move in? So one of the things, encourage soon to find a hotel room or Airbnb if possible. Or student can request an early arrival, and that charge is $75 a night for early arrival. Goes right to the student account. You're welcome to do that as well. More on early arrival. So you're registered for a program that talks about early move-in. And then what does that mean and how do I find more? So there's plenty of those on campus, and I cannot say here, we'll run out of time for sure to talk about every single one of them or list out what they are. But what we do say is that if that's what they're saying and they're telling you that's a thing that they're doing, get with them about what that specific information is. Like they should give you an arrival date. So get that arrival date, put in an early arrival request form, and then you get added in with our early arrivals. You'll get check-in information from us in August. And then you also don't need to sign up for a move-in time. And my very last frequently asked questions sign. So I just met the best person at orientation. How can we be roommates? So step one is submitting that room change request form in the housing portal. Both students have to do it. So it can't just be one, and the other one's like, they got it. We need to know that it's mutual, that they both want to do it. And then we work really hard to make sure everybody has a bed space, and the roommate requests, especially at this point, they're just not guaranteed, but we do our very best because we ultimately want you to live in a space that you are comfortable and happy with. And that really does include your roommate. So I really stress, sometimes we just can't. And also if like you really run into a roadblock, call us and we can talk you through it. We're happy to do that. Kind of along with it, what happens if I don't get along with my roommate? And this is kind of speaking toward after. If you're not getting along now, come call us, email us, like let's chat about it. But once you're moved in, you're already moved into a space together. And this is kind of like your first experience in trying to mediate a roommate situation or mediate a conflict. And our RA staff is trained to do that. So you want to be sure, if that's the case, go talk to the RA. The RA is happy to like mediate a conversation or give you some ideas of like how to go about it. And honestly, if like you're like, no, like this isn't going to get anywhere, that's okay. We can start looking at that room change option. That's why we have professional staff at the front desk. That's why we have community directors in the buildings to kind of help you through that. So takeaway from that is like, you're really having a terrible time. We want to be able to help you, and just reach out to us to let us know that. Okay. Our last little slide here is just if you've got questions, this is the contact information for us. And that kind of wraps up my formal part of this presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. That was super helpful. I know I learned a lot. Before we wrap up, we had a few questions that came up a few times in the Q&A that's running. So we just thought we might circle back and cover a few of those. First of all, I know you said this a million times, but if you could just remind everyone one more time, what is the date and time that they would actually go in and sign up for that move-in time slot?
Yeah, I don't know that I actually said the date and time. So great question. We launched that on July 1st at 9 a.m. And that's mountain time. Students will also get an email about a week before that kind of notifies them that that's coming and how to do it. So a little bit twofold there.
Great, thank you. Another question I saw is, are there any facilities or resources like carts that students are able to utilize if they're on a higher floor to haul larger items in?
Yeah. So we have these really fantastic blue deep carts that hold a lot of stuff. Our office used it when we moved up here to North Hedges for the summer. So we have all those available at the front desk. And again, if you're here during the time that we have volunteers, the volunteers will help you with those carts. If you're here when there's no volunteers, you can still check out a cart from the front desk.
Great, thank you. Kind of on the same thread with items, for the students that choose to ship their things in advance, what does the process look like for them to go and claim those items?
Yeah. So basically, once you know that we have a package for you at the front desk, they just want to verify that it's you. So if you have your CAT card, you can just use your CAT card, say, hey, I'm here to pick up my package. They'll look you up, they'll find your package, they'll check it out to you. It's real simple.
Great. Would you say that you recommend students actually bring a mini fridge? And also with that, does MSU offer anything like rentals for those?
Yeah. So I think it depends. I know that there's lots of students that love having access to a mini fridge. It's your little place to, if you're a Diet Coke fiend like me, a little place to have some Diet Coke or whatever you need to, or little snacks or whatever that you want to have in your home, your room. We do offer a rental program, and they've started some of their outreach, but it's Micro Fridge is the company, and that contact information is also on our move-in page. If you haven't heard from them directly, you can find that information there.
Great, thank you. With that said, where can students find a list of items or appliances that are banned from the residence halls?
Yeah, the banned items are going to be in the community standards.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. One thing I am seeing a ton of questions about rolling in our chat right now is, would you be able to clarify for these families which of the residence halls specifically have standard versus twin XL size beds?
Yeah. So almost all of them have twin XL sized beds. The only two that do not, and it's literally just a space constraint, and it's so sad, is Roski Hall, because of the pie-shaped room and where we have some data ports, and the quads, because the rooms and the bedrooms actually in the quads are pretty small. So yeah.
Awesome. I lived in the quads. They were small, but it was great. I loved my time there. Another really important question is, what accessibility options are there for people to get in and out of the residence halls if they have some mobility issues?
Yeah. So kind of big one. If you do have the accessibility issues, please be sure that you're getting in contact with the Office of Disability Services, like today, tomorrow. They're closed right now. Tomorrow, and kind of start that conversation with them. What they do with us, especially if you're a student staying with us, they work with us to find the best spot to place you. So we have some buildings, like our newer construction buildings for sure, they're accessible 100%. We've got some modified accessibility in our other buildings. They're either, the entrance is on the ground floor. We've got a ramp that goes up to it. The tall buildings have elevators. But the real big thing is that that's really a concern. Please reach out to Office of Disability Services.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm sorry to make you sound like a broken record here, but I am seeing a few more questions on it for those that missed it. When should students that have not yet received a housing assignment expect to hear by?
Yeah. So it honestly depends on when your application date is. So I can't like in a general sense say that. I can tell you that I literally just said this a few times. We're in about early March for our female applicants and mid to late March with our male applicants. So if you're like right around that time, you're probably going to hear from us pretty soon. If it's any later than that, it honestly depends. And I think that if you're really concerned and you want to get a better sense of like where you might be, just reach out to us. You can call us, you can email us, and we'll be sure that you get in contact with somebody that can talk you through when to expect that.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie, thank you so much for your time. Everyone in the audience, thank you so much for yours as well. I'm so excited that you guys got to come in and share this past hour, 50-ish minutes with us. If you have any additional questions, like I said, our team here in the Office of Admissions is always happy to help. Jamie's team in University Student Housing is a great resource with these housing and move-in related questions. For those of you watching, if there's any information that you would like to go back and review, just so you know, this entire session was recorded and we'll have everything updated to our Office of Admissions YouTube channel, as well as email you a link to that recording within 48 hours from now. Other than that, thank you so much for joining, guys. We look forward to seeing you, whether that is at your orientation or in August at Move In. You all take care and have an amazing summer. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.